Hey up everyone, I'm back again. So I just wanted to do a very quick comparison here between two of my favourite handsets of late 2014, which are in like the lower kind of mid-range category, and it's the Lumia 830 versus the Moto G 2014. I think both of them have quite a few similarities, aside from the price. You are going to get the Moto G for quite a bit cheaper than the Lumia 830. Lumia 830 first came out about 300 odd, but has since been reduced to about 230-ish, which is more realistic, I think, to sell the device. And the Moto G can be had for about 140-ish from most places. So very good value for money, these handsets, for what you're getting. I think in terms of the build quality, I do prefer the Lumia quite a lot more in terms of the premium. Even though it is more of a budget handset, it does feel much more expensive than it is. I'm kind of wishing though that I did buy like a colourful Lumia 830 with the silver banding around it. I think that would have made it even nicer in terms of like the looks. But I do like the one that I bought anyway. It just feels very solid. Gives you a very nice reassuring coldness in the morning that you get with kind of metallic devices like your HTC One. And it does have a screen which feels more high quality than the one on the Moto, which as you can see is kind of curved. Don't know if you can see that. But you get that kind of like on the higher end devices, and it just feels like very seamless when you move your finger across it and then hit the edge, whereas you can certainly notice it on the Moto G. But they're both about the same in terms of size, and you can get your thumb around both of them quite easily. So I think that the Moto G is a bit more comfortable, if I'm to be honest. Because it is kind of more rounded off, particularly at the back, and I do prefer the back texture compared to the Lumia 830, which is a bit kind of plasticky, and is also quite prone to little scratches and marks. I don't know if you can notice them. And I've not really been abusing the device. I've just been dragging it out of my pocket every now and again. And it has come up with some marks which are not very good really, but the Moto G seems to be very in good nick, even though I've been abusing it quite a bit. And you're going to get a nice camera on both of them. Both of them have slightly different resolutions. You're going to get your 8 megapixel, which is f2.0 on the Moto G, versus your 10 megapixel Carl Zeiss, and you're going to get the same type of array layout in terms of the headphone jack as well, but I do prefer the USB being on the bottom compared to the top, and you do get a physical shutter button, which is very nice on the 830, but you don't get that on the Moto G. Both of them do support expandable storage. I think you can officially expand the Moto G up to 32 gigs, but unofficially up to about 64 gigs. I've seen somewhere, but the Lumia does support to 128 gigs officially, so you're going to get more storage, as well as 16 gigs internal versus your 8 gigs. I think in terms of the overall build, I do prefer the Lumia, but obviously it is a bit more expensive, and I'd say the Moto G isn't really far off considering. But in terms of the displays, again, these are IPS LCD displays, so these are very good for like your daylight kind of viewing. Again, I'd probably give it to the Nokia for having a slightly higher quality display. It is obviously built in with its clear black technology, which I've found when looking like daylight, it seems to make it look very legible, whereas the Moto G you do have to really bump up the brightness to get the same kind of viewability. But having said that, you know, in terms of the price, again, what you're getting isn't really far off from what you're getting on the Lumia, which is a little bit more pricey. And in terms of the pixel density, you're getting 294 ppi on the Moto G, and you're getting a very decent 294 ppi on the 830. So same ppi, you're going to get the same type of sharpness. If you come in from your Quad HD displays, like your 2K displays like LG G3, Note 4, you might notice it a little bit when you're zooming in on text and things like that. But if you're just on like your home screen or you're looking at your apps, absolutely no difference whatsoever in terms of the sharpness. Both of them very nicely calibrated. You can get some more options to customize the screen a little bit more on the 830 under the settings. I like to keep it very AMOLED, which as you can see, go under here and you can put the color saturation right up. Can't do that on the Moto, unfortunately, so you're gonna have to deal with your LCD. But moving on, you know, in terms of the performance, not really too many differences here. Both of them, you know, Snapdragon 400 clocked at 1 gigs. I would have liked them, both of them, to have been on 1.5 gig in terms of the memory, just for future proofing, as well as Snapdragon 600 maybe, or even a 410. But both of them seem to push along their operating systems quite well. You do get quite a lot of elaborate kind of animations on the 830, which I think do lend to a slightly slower experience when you consider the experience on the Moto G. For example, well, that was quicker on the 830, so I'll shut up now. But I think in terms of most things, it is a little bit quicker on the Android operating system to do things on a Snapdragon 400. However, what I have noticed with the 830 is it seems to handle multitasking like a million times better. For example, I can like listen to music or watch a YouTube thing in the background and browse the web or do other things on it. Whereas if I do that on my Moto G, a lot of the time it will force close the either the music, or it will start reloading the home screen, which is quite annoying. I think they say they might have fixed it a little bit on Lollipop, but in the UK we're still running KitKat. Taken quite a while for them to push down Lollipop on the Moto G. I bet you did think that this was on Lollipop, but it's not actually. This is the Google Now launcher, which looks very Lollipop-like, and they have certainly improved on that, but it's still KitKat, as you can see. So I do like the way I can multitask better on the Lumia. I have found ways of getting around the issue of like force closing and reloading a bit on the Moto G. For example, I use Opera Mini now in terms of the browsing when like listening to music, and that seems to help a bit. But still prefer the kind of ability of the 830 to manage its resources a little bit better. And again, you know, like the iPhone 6 as well, that's just a dual core with 1 gig of RAM. I think it's been proven that you can do it with very little specs. But another big thing to note about these two is obviously the lack of 4G on the Moto G. So, you know, that might not be that important to you, but I think since it's now free with 3UK, basically it's something that you're gonna miss really if you're used to it. It does mean like when you're out and about, you're gonna get some nice speeds like downloading and uploading with the 830. and you're gonna kind of miss it on the Moto G. However, there is a 4G Moto G coming out, which is rumored to be called the Moto G Titan. So hopefully that will be about the same price and bring 4G to it. In terms of the cameras, I have been out and about doing kind of like a little test between each of them. It is worthwhile mentioning the camera on the Lumia does full 1080p versus 720p on the Moto G. So you can have a look at the results in terms of the pictures first, see if you can see any major differences. I think that constant theme of these particular pictures is that the Lumia gives you kind of richer type of colours when you're out and about, and you can see this on some of these pictures where you've got a lot of greenery as well as the more woody tones. The colours look a bit more subdued on the Moto G. Having said that, the Moto G does definitely keep up quite well with the Carl Zeiss lens, which is obviously a higher quality lens, and I think that most buyers will be very happy with the overall experience. But I think that you know, if you're gonna want slightly better camera experience, you're gonna have to fork out a little bit more for the Lumia. And in terms of the actual low light, however, I was quite impressed with the Moto G in regards to keeping the image very bright, probably due to its f2.0 calibration, which I think you know, lends to much better low light performance on a lot of smartphones. Even on these pictures it looks a lot brighter than the Lumia, which is a little bit darker than the Moto. So a quick video test here of the Moto G doing 720p versus the 830 with its full HD at 30 frames per second. So not going to go too hard on the Moto G. You know, it can't do quite as high as the 830, but hopefully the footage will be still quite decent, and we can test out the focusing. So like the Moto G was a bit quicker off the mark there. Try it again. About the same that time, but very decent focusing from the Moto G. Looks better than the Moto X actually. I think one area where the Lumia really does stand out is in terms of the actual software compared to the Motorola, which is geared towards, you know, very basic type of functionality. With the software on the Lumia, you get kind of like quite a lot of different controls, like for your ISO, shutter speed, etc. So I think that in general the you know, Moto G does quite a good job, considering it is only 720p versus the 830 with its, you know, nice full HD. And it is worthwhile mentioning that the front-facing camera on the what am I saying, Xperia, the Lumia, should I say, is kind of a bit worse compared to the one on the Moto G. It's only a 0.9 megapixel one, which you know, is only, I think, good for very basic kind of selfie taking. But they did bump up the front-facing one on the Moto G to a 2 megapixel one, and you know, I think that you're going to get better selfies on the Moto G compared to the Lumia. But in terms of the actual video recording, you're getting your very nice high definition audio and Dolby support as well on the Lumia, so you're going to get very nice sounds on this. So I think I do prefer the overall camera experience on the Lumia, but other than that, obviously another important area is the battery, and maybe I should charge this before I made a film out of it, because I didn't want it to look like it's a bad battery, because I still think the battery on the Moto G is still fantastic for saying it's only a 2000 odd mAh, but the battery on the 830 is a 2200 mAh, and it's removable as well, so I think the battery is going to be a little bit better in general on the 830, and that removability does make it give you more options when you're out and about. So but you're not going to have too many issues with the battery on both of them. Very strong stayers nevertheless. In terms of the software, you're running, as I said, Android KitKat 4.4.4, which is due to be updated to Lollipop on the Moto G, versus Denim, the latest version of Denim, on the Lumia 830, and the latest version of Denim brought quite a few improvements to the software, such as the ability to set up shortcuts, kind of like folders, should I say. You could always do shortcuts on the home screen, but the fact that you can do folders now means that you can have groupings of them, and as you can see, I have kind of like the shortcuts that I need, which I can't get in terms of apps on the Denim operating system. And fundamentally, you're going to get more apps on Android at the moment still, but the app gap I don't think is huge to everyone. It's very subjective as to what you use your phone for. If you're someone who does download quite a lot of, millions of apps, then you're going to be in Wonderland on Android. But if you just want the main stuff, such as your eBay, your LinkedIn, Amazon, for me NatWest, then you're going to get all that on Windows Phone. And you're going to get some benefits as well in terms of the added camera experience that Denim brings. It gives you some interesting improvements there. And Putin's on my phone again. But on MyTube, you can, for example, play YouTube videos in the background, which is quite nifty. You can't do that on the official YouTube app on the Moto G. So you're going to get better connectivity, however, to your smartwatches and things like that on the Android ecosystem. So if you've got one of them, something to bear in mind. And I think overall, I think that both of these handsets are still very excellent in regards to what they're bringing to the table. I think that for a lot of people, they should be quite satisfied with what the Moto G offers, and I think that maybe it's not really worthwhile paying extra for the Lumia 830 if you're not really a power user when it comes to smartphones. But if you do have the extra money and are like more of a power user, I think you're going to get a better overall experience on the 830 in terms of the bigger removable battery, the better screen, and more expandable storage supported, not to mention the better camera app, which gives you far more options, as well as the improvements that Denim brings. Is it worth paying like a little bit more for these things? I'd say yes, it is worth it, particularly if you've got the money. But then again, if you can only afford like a Moto G kind of thing, you're still going to be very happy with the experience, and it still compares very well to the 830, and that's what you really want out of your device. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there, and it's been a quick little comparison review between the 830 and the Moto G in 2015. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, hit the subscribe button or like it, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.